Hello guys, Gaming Dad 56 here, and welcome to Farming Simulator 19, at least my uh, videos in it. So what I was going to do was restart a series that I started in Farming Simulator 17, which was the $10 million challenge. Now in 17 we didn't really get anywhere close to $10 million, and I thought, with the changes with 19, instead of just carrying over where we were there, since 19 changes where you can buy lands and things like that, you can start with nothing. I figured we really just needed to restart the series. Um, so now that we're a ways into Farming Simulator 19 and there's no Farming Simulator 21 or anything like that on the horizon anytime soon, I figured, let's give this series another shot. So I'm going to go ahead and get started in this Farming Simulator 19 series, the $10 million challenge. So we're going to start a new game, and of course we have the three game modes to choose from. And, new farmer would be the most like starting in Farming Simulator 17. You already have land, you already have equipment, and the game has kind of chosen a starting spot for you. Not a bad way to go, but I don't feel like that gives us the freedom that Farming Simulator 19 really offers, where you can choose where you want to set up your farm. So I also don't really want to do start from scratch, because there you just have nothing and also very little money. So that's going to be a very difficult way to try to get to $10 million. So what I figured is we'll go for farm manager. Now we'll start with no land and no equipment, but we get to pick where we set up our farm. We can choose which fields we want, and we can really go in a direction that we want to go with this series. So I'm going to go ahead and start in farm manager mode. And we are going to play on Ravenport. I've seen a lot of Let's Plays and stuff on Felsbrunn, and there's been a lot on Ravenport too. But Ravenport is the US based map. I'm based in the US, so I figured, we'll just go for that one. So let's enter our name here. Character, this looks pretty good. We'll choose John Deere, of course, because we're here in the U.S. And let's choose a green shirt to go along with this. So there we go. There's our guy. Now, quickly, I want to talk about mods. Now, my goal really is to get to $10 million within the normal game mechanics. Now, this is a game that's heavily modded, and I could go out and get a bunch of different mods, but then I really have to worry about, do these mods change the way that the game is played and change how difficult it would be to get to $10 million? And a lot of them do. So to make it easy, I'm just generally going to avoid mods. That said, there are a few in here. Now the top two on this list are DLCs. So those aren't mods, they're DLCs from Giants that I've gone ahead and put in here. It's just going to expand our equipment selection, really. Now the other ones, this one we're going to take off. Easy development controls, we're not doing any of that, because that would allow us to cheat and stuff. We're going to take that off. But Courseplay, enhanced vehicle, and guidance steering. Now these two down here, enhanced vehicle and guidance steering, those aren't super game-changing mods. Those are kind of quality of life mods for me. Guidance steering helps keep your tractor going in a straight line. It just makes it a little easier when you're doing some of those bigger fields to just go in a straight line without having to sit there and pay really close attention to what you're doing. Enhanced vehicle just makes driving the tractors more fun. You can change which direction, forward or reverse, you are going. You can turn on or off four-wheel drive, things like that. And with the pedal and steering wheels that I have, I definitely like that style of driving as opposed to the base game style of driving. And then the third mod that we're going to use is Courseplay. Now, Courseplay is a game-changing mod. There's no doubt about that. However, to get to $10 million, we're going to have to own a lot of land, and we're going to have to be doing a lot of things. And really, there's just no way we're going to be able to do that with the base game helpers. They're just not, there's too many things that they can't do, especially when it comes to things like carting grain or things like that. So Courseplay is the one game-changing mod that I'm going to allow us to use in this series. That said, that's what the game setup looks like. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, as this game loads, again, the goal of this series is to get to $10 million, really any way the game allows. So we can do farming, we can do animals, we can do contracting missions, any of it. As long as it's not cheating, then it's fair game. So this is not a realistic series or anything like that. We're just going to try to make $10 million. That said, I'm not going to be a big stickler about trying to make $10 million as fast as I can. While we're doing this, I do want to explore the game a little bit. So I'm not necessarily going to just pick the most efficient method of making money and do that until I get to $10 million. Now, what I'm going to do is try to explore a lot of different gameplay mechanisms, and as part of doing that, we will be getting closer and closer to that $10 million. So it's all loaded up. Let's get started. So here we are in Ravenport. We do want to scan the fields automatically. There we go. And here we are in Ravenport. This is where you would normally start if you had chosen the new farmer mode. You own these fields here, 26, 25, 24, and 19 over there, I believe. And then, of course, you have some farm buildings in here. But because we started in farm manager mode, we get to choose where we start. We also start with $1.25 million. So, hey, we're a tenth of the way to 10 million already. That'll help us get started. So now we need to take a look at where do we want to own a farm? Where do we want to start this Let's Play out? And I think this is a pretty critical decision, so we're going to take a little bit of time to make this decision for sure. All right, so we got to figure out what lands we want to buy. Now, of course, we could buy these ones down here that you start with anyway. 300,000, 360,000, plus 210,000. That's quite a bit. Plus, you know, we have to remember equipment. I know that the shop is down here, and ideally I would like to have something relatively close to the shop, just to make getting back and forth much easier. I would also like to have a field that's relatively flat, so that as we expand and start to get buildings and stuff, we have somewhere to put them. So these fields down here are always appealing to me. They're not super expensive. They're not super large, which means you don't need big equipment. And they're relatively flat. You have some trees that you could cut down for money. But I also want to take a look at what else is around here. These fields up here, a little farther away. No trees. And you can't really expand, but they do have some decent sized fields in them. The other thing I would like to take a look at is what is in these fields. So for instance, field 20 down here that I was looking at there, that's grass. So you're not going to get a crop out of it. Look at some of these other fields, which ones are harvestable and which ones aren't. These are all separate up here. They're pretty expensive. But having a field that's ready to harvest might be nice because we could immediately start making some money off of it. So 21, 22, 18, those are all ready to harvest. 8 is ready to harvest, but that's probably a little too big for us. All these other ones are growing. 20 is grass. We could potentially get that one, but then we'd have to do a bunch of grass stuff. So 21, 22, 18, somewhere in there might be a good place to start. 18 is $171,000, $147,000 for field number 21, and $280,000 for field number 22. That seems like quite a bit, but there is a lot of land there and quite a few trees. So we might be able to sell some trees to make up for it. I think I'm going to go ahead and buy field 21. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do field 18. I think those will be two good starting fields. That leaves us with $930,000. If we were going to buy field 22, that would take $280,000 of that, which would not leave us with very much. But we could then sell the harvests immediately and maybe make some quick money. So we may have to think about that one. But now we have 18 and 21. we also need equipment. So let's go back and look at what fields, what crops were on those fields. Corn is on 18. That's a pretty good one. And wheat is on 21. And barley would be what's on 22. So we have, if we're going to harvest those ourselves, we need a combine with a corn head and a grain head. We would also need a tractor and a trailer to be able to haul the grain. So those are critical things that we need to go look at the store. So as far as combines go, we could start off with the very cheap Bison or the New Holland TX32. This one has a bigger tank than even the Rostamash, which is a little bit more expensive. These three are probably the only ones I would really be looking at, though. I feel like this would be a pretty good one to start with, $100,000. Yep, so we'll go ahead and get that. We're not going to worry about GPS right now because, as you can see, it's $15,000. Now, this guidance steering mod is a little bit different than previous GPS in previous versions of FarmSim, where every vehicle just automatically had it. In guidance steering, you actually have to equip the machine with a GPS system, which costs $15,000. So that's pretty expensive. So we're not going to do that. We'll go ahead and buy this. We're going to need a harvester for a long time, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it as opposed to leasing it. And then, of course, we need the two headers for it. So we need a corn head and a grain head. This is the corn head designed for the TX32, 19,000. So we'll go ahead and get that. And the grain head for it as well. The Rostamash is a 5-meter header. See, that would be pretty nice. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can hook up a Rostamash header to a New Holland combine. So there we have the stuff for the combine. And to get us started, I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, we need to change some settings. I forgot about that. So we're going to, of course, name our save game the $10 million challenge. There we go. We're going to turn the timescale down to 1x for now. We'll manipulate timescale as we go along. Economic difficulty we're going to put on easy because we need the money to be coming in if we're ever going to get to $10 million. Automatic engine start, on, off, I don't really care. Stop and all of these for right now. I'm going to turn fuel off, but seed, fertilizer, those things can be on. Slurry I will turn off, and manure I'll turn off. Plant growth will leave on normal. Withering, of course, will be on. Crop destruction is on. Periodic plowing is on. Lime is on. And weeds are on. So that's what our settings look like. So now that we have our New Holland combine here, let's go ahead. Oh, and here you can see the enhanced vehicle mod. So I just activated the enhanced vehicle kind of setup here, so that I can change the direction, and I can just use the accelerator pedal on my, pedal and steering wheel set for, acceleration. And I can change which direction I want to go using another button. And then the other pedal, of course, becomes then just brakes. I like that setup much more than one pedal being forward and one pedal being backward. So we're going to take this combine down to field 18 since I grabbed the corn header. And we're going to go ahead and start it harvesting. Then, of course, we are going to have to buy a tractor and a trailer to transport our grain. Also, we should probably turn the, there we go, turn the hazards on, turn the beacons on, there we go. Drive down the road safely. If any of you have seen my $10 million challenge series from FS17, of course you'll know that we didn't get to $10 million, but I hope you enjoyed it. It's an interesting challenge that is, it's going to keep us involved in this gameplay for quite a while. So let's go ahead and unfold the combine. Don't really need the hazards or the beacons anymore. There we go. And should be lined up pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and hire a worker. Send him off. He should be harvesting quite well. And while he's doing that, we need to buy a trailer and a tractor. Tractor, not tractor. That was just sounding weird. I tend to be a big fan of this trailer because you can change it so its capacity goes all the way up to 12,000 liters, which is pretty good. You know, it's only $12,000, so you wouldn't expect it to be great. But you can also change it to this bale loading wagon. I do tend to go to that often in my early save games, just because that's pretty useful. But this trailer here has a 10,000 liter capacity for a 10,750 liter capacity for only $8,500. So, you know, that is pretty tempting as long as we're going to stick mostly with grain early on. That does seem like a good way to go. Going all the way up to this one, now you have 14,000 liters, but it does come in at $19,000. So this one is actually less than $1 per liter of capacity, and this one is well over. This one is almost exactly $1 per liter if you do the 12. So I think we're going to go with this guy. We're not going to change any of the colors or anything because, of course, that would cost more money. I am going to change the tire brand, but I'm not going to change the wheel setup because, again, that would cost more money. So we're going to go ahead and purchase that trailer. And now we need a tractor to pull it. Now, I'm also keeping in mind that we're going to have to buy cultivator, seeder, and all that kind of stuff to be able to put plants or crops back into these fields. So I need to get a tractor that has a decent amount of power. Probably something in the 150 horsepower range, at least. I'm not a big fan of these 100 horsepower tractors because there's just not enough implements for them. So if we use, for instance, the Fendt, we can go, what does that go up to? That goes up to like right around 140 horsepower. All of these are pretty small. This Kloss here, how high can it go? It only goes up to 140 as well. So maybe we should look in medium tractors. This one for $100,000 basically, and 170 horsepower. That seems like a pretty good buy because if you go over here at $100,000, we only have 125 horsepower. To get up to that same range, you know, you have the Stara at 180 horsepower and $110,000. So to get up in that range, it's going to cost us quite a bit more money. What does the 6M? If I go with 100, close to 170 horsepower, that costs $130,000. So I feel like this is a good starting tractor. It's an older tractor, but it'll be good for a start. A few different wheel options. What kind of tires do we have? Ooh, dualies, nice. We do have narrow tires on this, so we could use this to spray our fields. This is fantastic. Ooh, we even have rear twin narrows. Oh, we have full twin narrows. That's pretty cool. That looks cool. That'd be a great spraying tractor. For right now, we're going to stick with the standard, but we will probably be taking advantage of that. So there's a 170 horsepower version, and it does go up to 214. Nope, keeps going. 260 horsepower. So we could really upgrade this tractor quite a bit. So we're going to stick with just kind of the basic setup here, and we'll go ahead and buy that. So that's another $100,000 gone. We're sitting at $600,000, and we don't have any of our field work equipment yet. So we're still going to need things like cultivator, seeders, planters, all that kind of equipment to be able to put crops back in these fields. So that's something we definitely need to keep in mind before we go blowing all of our money. So I'm going to take this down to the field so we can unload the combine when needed. I did take a look before I switched out of that combine, and he was not overly full yet. So it's not an urgent need. Unfortunately, part of the problem with buying already ready to harvest fields early on in the game like this is they typically are not fully fertilized, and the yields on them tend to not be very great. And right as we got down here, we're of course on the wrong side of the combine to unload, so we're going to go down to the other end of the field. Try to unload on the way back. Got this field, and that field over there is ours as well. Look at those fields. I feel like I'm going to go ahead and go to the store and look at some of our field work options, some of the things that we can do for getting these fields ready to have crops again. Because I want to get a good idea of, you know, how much money we have. If we have enough money, I would love to buy field 22 as well, especially while it is still harvestable. So we will need, I'm just taking a look through the categories here. None of that. We will not need a plow right now unless we plan on expanding our field. So we're going to skip that category. Cultivators, however, we will certainly need. Now, one thing I've come to find out in this game is that the cultivator category tends to require much more horsepower for the width of the cultivator. So if you look here, this is a 6-meter cultivator and requires 300 horsepower. Where if we go with a disc harrow, this 6-meter version only requires 180 horsepower. And you know, that's something that we could probably afford. We don't have a 180 horsepower tractor just yet. We only have 170, but that's probably close enough that we could get away with it. And then we would have a 6-meter wide cultivator, which is a pretty good way to go. What else is there? There's this 6-meter one, but that requires 220. This one's also mounted to the back of the tractor instead of a pull behind, which makes it, you know, sometimes it just makes it a little easier to use that way. So I think we'll go ahead and purchase this. We'll just go with the standard setup. And we also need, eventually we'll probably need a subsoiler, but I'm going to hold off on that for now. We will need a seeder, and I need to unload the combine. I got caught up buying stuff and forgot to do the unloading portion. Match speeds nicely with the combine. We'll just unload all the way to the end of the field. By the time we get there, I would expect, would be pretty close to empty. Yep, there we go. Alright, so we'll take this back up to the top of the field. Just be ready for another unloading. That filled us up to 39%, and he was getting fairly close to full. I think that has like a 5,600 liter capacity or something, so 4,200. We were getting close. Last time we parked down here, we were in his way, so I'm just going to pull off to the side here a little bit. While we go buy more equipment, because, you know, why not? We still have hundreds of thousands of dollars. We might as well spend it. Got to spend money to make money. So these first few seeders are all 3-meter width seeders, and yeah, I would prefer something a little wider than 3 meters if I can afford it. This one at 4 meters is pretty good. It only requires 100 horsepower, and then you've got the seed tank to go with it. So that's $25,000 for 4 meters, which is pretty good. This is comparable at just under 4 meters, but it's $39,000. So that's a pretty big difference. There's also this Rapid A600, which requires 180 horsepower, but is 6 meters. The downside to it is it's $76,000, so it's pretty expensive. But I think we're going to do this one. We're going to get that extra working width, so we can get fields done quickly and turn them over quickly and make money. This is going to be one of our primary ways of making money, so we want to be able to do it fairly quickly. Now, if we want to be able to do corn or sunflowers or anything like that, we need to also have a planter. You'll notice the seed types on here are basically your grains and your grasses. So if we want to do corn, which we have a corn header, so I feel like it would make sense to do corn, we need something to be able to do it with. At 4.5 meters and $29,000, that seems this Kverneland, however you say that, seems like it could be a decent choice. This is 3 meters. If we go up here to the Lemkin, we can get 6 meters for $26,000. Let's see. I always forget which is which. This one handles seeds and this handles the fertilizer, I believe. Or you could go up to this one for $30,000. It's also 6 meters. The benefit, I've looked at these before and I thought, what's the difference? The benefit to this setup, which is slightly more expensive, is that this front tank can handle seeds or fertilizer, where the front tank here can only handle fertilizer. But with either of these, you can both seed and fertilize at the same time, which is pretty cool. Given that this isn't super expensive, I think we're going to go with this. We have the setup to be able to harvest corn, and I would like to be able to do that because corn is a pretty good money-making crop. So we're going to do that. We will eventually need to put lime on the field. To be able to do that, we need one of these very large spreaders. I'm not going to worry about lime right off the bat, though. We do need something to be able to both spray weeds and fertilize our fields. So we're going to go with one of these setups here. This is also very beneficial because we can use this in contracting fertilizing contractor jobs. So I'm just trying to decide which one of these we go with. This is 2,200 liters for $35,000, and these two combined give you 2,800 liters for $38,000. So a little bit more expensive, but a little more capacity. The downside is it's a little smaller. However, I think I'd rather have the capacity than the extra working width at this point. So there we go. Whoop, that's not what I wanted. Anything else that we need right off the bat? I don't think so. We're not going to deal with too much of this right now. We'll eventually get into it probably, but not right this second. Okay. I mean, I feel like this looks pretty good. I don't think there's anything else I see that I feel we're in dire need of at the moment. One thing we do want is the workshop. Now, I hate to spend money on the workshop, but we're going to be switching tires and things. If we're going to be switching configurations of our equipment, it's going to be good to have. So I think we'll go ahead and just get it. We're going to put it over here for now because this is one of the only lands that we own. This is one of the few flat spots, so we want to be able to access it. I'm going to move it up a little bit just so it's not hidden behind the bush. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I don't want to put it too close to the field in case we want to expand the field a little bit, but that's pretty good. Okay. That is, I think, the last thing we're going to buy for right now. Now, where's he at? He's down at that end of the field. Hopefully he's not too close to full. Once he gets down here, we'll unload him again. Hopefully he makes it to the end. While we're waiting on that, we might as well take a look at the selling prices and see where we can go sell our corn at. The best place is at the restaurant, which I actually believe is pretty close to where we are, for just over $1,000 per ton. Restaurant A is right there. Well, isn't that convenient? So we could go ahead and sell it and have a nice injection of money. The other option is we could go store it at the railroad silo. This is a good option early game before you have, the money or the opportunity to invest in your own storage silo system. You have about 400,000 liters in the railroad silos that you can take advantage of. So that might be something that we have to look at. I love the way that they did the helper backing up and things. It's quite interesting. Once he gets positioned, we'll offload him again. And right now we have most of the equipment that we really need to get started, and we still have 465,000. So I'm thinking we may go ahead and buy field 22 as well, and that'll give us 3 fields we can be working right off the bat. Whoop, slow down a little bit. There we go. And if we can have those 3 fields, I feel like that's going to get us off to a pretty good start. We can start making some decent money in the game. Now, as we go through this series, I'm not going to spend the entire time playing in real time because it would take forever for us to get $10 million doing that. So what I will do, there will be time lapses in the video, and there will be, some jump cuts and things like that, just to help move this series along. Because without those, I feel like it could really take a while. I mean, let's face it, we're going to be taking advantage of the contracting system. We're going to be doing some large contracting jobs to get some money in and things like that. So, you don't necessarily want to have to sit through all of that. So I'll do jump cuts and time lapses and things like that. But just giving you a fair warning of that. I'll try not to do that too much. I know that can get a little boring after a while, but there will be some. So here we are at the restaurant selling the corn. Get some money right here. Very first field, very first episode, and we're already making money. This isn't even all of the field yet, and we made $10,000 off that. Nice. Again, I'm expecting another, $5,000-ish off of this field. So that's a pretty good start. I also want to take a look at the fertilization level of this. Okay, so it actually was fully fertilized. No. It's first stage fertilized, not fully fertilized. Okay, so this actually could have been better. It does need lime application, which we probably won't do this time around. But it also needs plowing, which means we are probably going to have to look at a subsoiler, because I don't want to lose that 15% yield. Given that I'm kind of writing off the 15% from the lime at this point, I don't really want to lose an additional 15% from not getting the plowing bonus. And if we intend to do corn, you do have to plow after corn if you don't want to lose that 15% bonus. If you guys aren't aware of how it works, it is different than FS17. In 17, I think you had to plow every 3 times or something. In this one, you have to plow after certain crops. I think it's corn, cotton, maybe sugar beets, and there may be another one in there, I'm not sure. But after you harvest those crops, then you have to plow if you don't want to lose that 15% bonus. The cool thing is we don't have to use one of these plows. We can use a subsoiler and we can get the benefit of plowing. And when you subsoil a field with one of these, you don't have to then go back and cultivate it, because the subsoiling basically gives you the plow bonus but also cultivates the field. There's some very large ones that obviously are going to take a huge amount of horsepower. There's this one here, which subsoils and fertilizes at the same time, which is pretty cool, but it requires 500 horsepower, so I'm not even messing with that. The two we're looking at are the Kuhn here and the Agrisem here. They're both the same size. They both do basically the exact same things. The Kuhn does hook up to some stuff. So the HR4004 and the BTF4000. Let's see if we can figure out what those are. I have a feeling, yes. So the Kuhn one would hook up onto this as well. So you could subsoil, you could power harrow, which is essentially the same thing as cultivating. And let's see, BTF 4000. What do you want to bet? That is a seeder. Yep, the BTF 4000. So you could hook all three of these up. I believe you can hook all three of them up together and go through the field in one pass. That's pretty cool. We're not going to do it because I already bought other seeders and cultivators. However, that is a pretty cool option. So we're going to go ahead and get this combi plow gold, and we're going to use that. Now this requires 140 horsepower. At this point, I'm already thinking, man, we basically need another tractor. Before we do anything else, I do want to buy Field 22. We have enough money for it. I want to buy it before they end up harvesting it so we get the crop that we can harvest. And that is the last field that we are going to buy right now. So we have $180,000, and I'm thinking we probably want another tractor just because while this one, I would love to be able to set a worker working on this field while the harvester is going on another field, and I have a tractor to transport the grain. So I think this is probably going to end up being our field work tractor, so we could probably use a smaller tractor for grain transport. So let's see what we can find in that. Let's see, the Claas at 75,000 with only 90 horsepower. That seems pretty small. 121,000, that's quite a bit of money for what we have right now, but it's 145 horsepower, so that's quite a bit. Could we get away with one of these 100 horsepower tractors? I just don't know. I mean, ooh, this old Fendt would be a nice one at 76,000 for 115 horsepower. That might not be a bad deal. And we could put a different engine in it to go up to 150. So that's not too bad. Okay, I don't think that, and that would give us the option of having a front loader on there as well. I think that's a pretty good buy. I think we'll do that one. All right, now we're going to go to that tractor, and we are going to hook on this subsoiler. We're going to take it down to the field. I wish you could set it so that when you bought a new vehicle, it automatically started using the extended vehicle mod, because I always have to get in the tractor and then switch it. Anyway, we're going to bring the subsoiler down here. This one should... No, it's 115 horsepower. Yeah, I bought the 115 horsepower version of it, didn't I? So we'll take the subsoiler off of this one, and we'll let the case run the subsoiler, and this guy will just be our transporting tractor for now. Okay, we'll just go ahead and drop that there. Oops, probably shouldn't have dropped it on its face. Might be a little hard to pick back up. Start the engine. All right, the combine. Oh, he's gonna have to come down one more time. That's kind of annoying. Gonna end up facing the wrong way. Now, looking at this field, there's not a whole lot of room to expand here. So this field is probably as it's going to be for us for the whole time we have it. Field 21, however, that we bought might be able to be expanded. We're already causing ourselves problems, aren't we? Hey, there we go. In Farming Simulator, if you can't figure out how to do something, just ram a tractor into it. See if that solves the problem. So we'll start him off. Hired worker here, and look at that. So it's automatically putting that into the cultivated texture, and you can see that plow needs plowing. That's going away. Nicely done. Okay. Back into our Fendt here. Get him unloaded. Then we need to get the combine going on our other 2 fields. We're at about $110,000. It's not a lot of money, given that we had 1.25 million not all that long ago. I would like to at least get this field harvested before we call it an episode. I'll feel like that way we accomplished something at least. See how much more we're going to get. 2 combine loads gave us about $10,000. Is this combine load going to be about the same amount? Pretty close. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's move this just a little bit. I'm going to go get those last pieces there, then we'll unload in here, and then we'll take care of the rest of it. Get him started on another field. We got to run up to the dealership though and get the other header, don't we? So I've gotten used to playing Farm Sim 19 with many mods, and one of those mods is store delivery mod, I believe is what it's called. You can set the point where the store will deliver your equipment to when you buy something. I have gotten very used to that. So having to go to the store to pick up my equipment is kind of foreign to me again. So we'll have to take me a little bit of time to get used to that. Well, that was not very much. Okay, I mainly want to get this equipment off of the field so we don't interfere with our guy doing the subsoiling. Whoops. Alright. Now, I can always take this and go sell it. Actually, yep, that's what we'll do. We'll go sell this. That way we have completed the harvest of a field. And before the next episode, I will go get the other header and bring it down here. That way you guys don't have to watch me drive back and forth to the store. But let's see how much we end up with for harvesting our cornfield. There are times when it's nice to be on the interior cam and times where it's nice to be on the exterior cam. Alright, sell this. Should be another $5,000-ish, I think. Yep, $5,499. Okay, we're just going to drive this guy right over here because this is the next field that we will harvest. So, guys, thank you for watching this first episode of the $10 million challenge FS19 version, where we have gotten our game pretty much set up and we actually completed one harvest. We've taken our bank account from 1.25 million down to 115,000, so definitely going in the wrong direction there, but hopefully this equipment will pay off for us and we'll be getting lots of money from the fields. So I will see you guys next time, where we will be ready to harvest this field in front of us, field number 21.